In a previous video on my Volvo, you would have seen me working out which of my various scrapyard engines I wanted to build to replace the knackered one that's currently in the 940. And then you would have seen me stripping that chosen engine down to have a look and see if it was worth building, and it was. And this video, I'm building it back up. This was that grotty looking red block you saw in the previous video, now painted silver and looking quite smart. The balls were good anyway, but we ran the hone through it quickly just to, you know, give it, because they were a bit shiny. And basically if you kind of it helps oil retention when the balls aren't super fucking perfectly polished and smooth. Obviously you don't want big scratches, but that's what honing is to help keep the oil retention as part of it. But anyway, yeah, honed it, painted it. I have basically spent ages and wasted best part of a big bottle of brake cleaner, cleaning out all the oil, then blowing out all the oil galleries and everything with the airline. And yeah, basically it's ready to go back together. Down here, this is the oil squirters. I removed them from the block, of course, and I've cleaned them up, blew through them with the airline, all that kind of shit, and they're all good. These are the pistons. Again, the standard pistons, the rings are fine. I literally just cleaned them up a bit. Obviously took them off the original rods. They're going to be going back in. Here's the mains caps with the main bearings still in them, and as you can see, they're mint, so they're being redone, reused. This is the crank. Again, as you can imagine, with bearings looking like that, it's mint. So again, just cleaned it up, blew airline through the oil holes just to see, you know, just to be sure it was okay. I am going to fit new big end bearings, which is here, Glyco ones. Yeah, set of new big end bearings. I mean, the other ones were okay, but if I'm going to all this effort, they weren't okay enough to not fit new ones. I mean, on the engine that's going in the MX-5, the Penta one, they were like fucking new, so I just reused them, because otherwise, you know, you're doing it for nothing. But this time, yeah, it was worth changing. Yeah, so all of this, and some rods. As you would have probably seen from the MX-5 engine, that's got a set of MaXpeedingRods in, and so will this one now. So yeah, let's take this out, I will show you. MaXpeeding H-Beam rods with ARP bolts, they all come with that, and yeah, they are, well, they're good. I'm quite surprised. Most people, I think by now, know these are good, but I still get questions now and again, oh, are they any good? There's like, well, let me think. I know of a 1,000 horsepower RB26 in New Zealand running these. A 1.8 litre turbo 4-cylinder in this country, Lee Connor's Elise, or Zeege, or whatever bloody hell it is. That's revving to like 9,000 RPM and making well over 600 brake, probably best part 700 brake. Running these, no problem. I know of a 680 brake, or 670 I think, 8 valve Volvo red block running these. One of the, I can't remember which one, but one of the top BDC cars, or is the Irish drift champion, one of the Irish lads, who's got an RB26 engine in a S13 if I remember right, making massive power like they do. He's running these rods, no problem. They're well proven. I mean, to be honest, I guarantee these rods are exactly the same as a lot of other companies' rods, just with a different name on them. But yeah, these things are spot on, well proven, and cost next to nothing. I mean, these are like not much over 200 quid. It's like, it's a no-brainer. And like I said, these are proven at like, well, they're nowhere near the limit, but people have been reliably running these even on 4 cylinders at, yeah, pretty much 200 horsepower per cylinder and not breaking them. So yeah, they're fine. So these plus these, that's the funny thing, that Volvo engine I said about running these, standard pistons that was running as well, and crank, because Volvo engines are strong as hell, but the rods aren't as strong, so it makes sense. So yeah, these are going in there. So that's my second engine running these now. It's that one there. Although probably, let me think, I think like the 4th engine in the workshop, because Thomas's 19 TDI is running these, and a 1.8 20 valve turbo engine, the Audi Volkswagen engine. That's going to be running a set of these shortly as well, but that's another story. So yeah, we are getting there. So time to put the pistons on the rods and everything back in the engine. So that is the rods on the pistons and the bearings in the rods. As you can probably see, they're pretty beefy and badass, and Volvo pistons are nigh on indestructible, so I got no worries there. Well, anything can be killed with a bad map, but if your tune is right, you ain't killing Volvo pistons easily, and you definitely ain't killing them rods. They are, I mean, look, they are beefy. So yeah, next job is to put the oil squirters back in the block, which is dead easy. They literally bolt in. Oil squirters in the block, crank back in the block. Pistons on rods, rods on crank. All good. Right, that's cranking and all torqued up. All good. Honestly, these engines are so simple. Anyone, honestly, I know, you know, building an engine's scary to, you know, if you've never done it before, but honestly, there's nothing to be scared of, especially on these. They're one of the most user-friendly engines to build that I've ever known. It really is fucking piece of piss. And also they're strong, so it's like, it's harder to go wrong. But yeah, I mean, there's no tricks, there's no nothing, it's mostly common sense. You know, I mean, like the oil squirters, which a lot of these haven't even got, but I added a tiny bit of thread lock on them because it seemed like a good idea. But apart from, you know, but generally it's just, it's fairly common sense, all of this shit with this engine, so it's quite easy. So I guess now I better put the pistons in, and the rods, of course. See if I can remember where the piston ring compressor is. Crank, pistons and rods are in and torqued up, and feel good. So yeah, good times. Now I've got to put the front and rear covers back on, oil pump on, and this bottom end's done. I can't do the top end yet because it's still on the car. The car's over there.
Mirror for sure.
Well, that's the bottom end complete. Front and rear covers are on. New front and rear main seals are on. New auxiliary shafts on. Oil pumps on. It's good to go. This bit here is the bit that goes from the oil pump to all the oil galleries in the block, and it's known for having issues. Basically, if this leaks at all, obviously your oil pressure in your engine is going to be lower, and it can fuck it basically. And there's a lot of sort of talk about it. I've seen, you know, uprated ones sold at bolts to it and all kinds of stuff. But really, the only real issue is if it's A, not installed properly, or B, the actual seals either end are knackered. Because to be honest, now this is in properly, honestly, you could hang off this. If you had the engine on, you know, other way up, you could literally hang off that and it wouldn't come out. There's no way that can leak installed properly. I think a lot of it is because people don't install it fully, because you can't just push it in, not unless the seals are knackered. With these seals, I literally had to use like a very thin but strong screwdriver to tap in on the metal bits either side to get it in properly. You know, even when these were done up tight and it looked tight, until these are pushed in fully, it's not, because once they're fully in, you can then, these suddenly only finger tight. So I can see why people have trouble. And obviously on a 30-odd-year-old engine, which a lot of these would be, the seals are going to be knackered. My seals on these didn't look too bad, but they were nowhere near as stiff as the ones I fitted. So I'm fairly 100% quite confident. I say 100%, and that's why I backtracked to quite, because I don't want to speak too soon. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's going to be absolutely fine, and there's no way it being bolted to anything is going to make any difference. So that's not really an upgrade in my opinion, because the thing is, if you look at the angle of it all. The pump is angled down, that angles like that, then up. It's like they squash against each other. It's not just 90-degree bends, it is literally, they're forced together. There's no way of separating it without undoing them. So it doesn't need any extra bolts. I don't think Volvo was stupid. It just really shouldn't make any difference. So that's done now. I've cleaned up the sump, which was disgusting, and I've just sprayed it with some random, it's only metal primer, but it'll probably do. Just sprayed it with that to make it look presentable. And once that's dry enough, I'll bolt it on and it's done. Aside from that, a couple other things. I have this, which is something I've been after for a while. It's another rear diff for the car, but this one is a 3.91. The one currently on the car is a 3.54, which is, in my opinion, for the power band it's got and the type of driving I do, it's too long. This 3.91, in my opinion and experience of changing diff ratio, should transform how the car drives, how it accelerates and performs anyway. And this diff has only done like 60-odd thousand miles on a hearse of all things, so it's not had a very hard life. So I'm going to weld this one up and swap it for the other one at some point soon. And that is something else I've got. And what this is a stage 3 cam from KR Racing. So no more of that V cam, which is like a 245-degree cam, which is pretty mild. Not bad for a OEM cam, and a lot better than the standard one. But it's still a mild factory cam. Whereas this is 280-degree and even more lift. So this should massively wake it up. It's that one. So basically, it says T3, but it's stage 3 basically. It's pretty leery for a 2 litre, but I reckon it'd be absolutely fine for what I want. Perfect, really. So that will go on the head that's already on the car, and hopefully should transform it. And then, well, just got to swap the engines around, and obviously get on with this, and get on with the Merc, and get on with everything else. And we was talking about a few things earlier, and I don't want to speak too soon, but I reckon a Corolla's going to be back in action probably sooner than I thought, because I've had to think about it and change a few plans. And yeah, because as much as I like pissing about with all this stuff, that's still my favourite car. So, and it's done. All done. I painted the sump in basically some metal primer paint I had kicking around. Don't really care. This isn't like well, it's for the Volvo, isn't it? So it's not exactly super pretty. It's not a show car, and no one's gonna see the sump anyway unless I put it on this roof. So yeah, all done. I sort of, the bolts are the old ones, so they're all brown and rusty, but they're I gave them all a blast with the wire wheel, so they're just brown. They're not knackered, and they're not oily or anything. So yeah, now this engine is, well, no, this bottom end is done. Basically, there's no more I can do to it now until I take the bits off the other engine, because the next job really is to pinch the head and the water pump and the various bits and pieces off the knackered engine to finish this one off. But my job here, building this bottom end up, is complete. I decided to have a look at this rear diff as soon as I had to open it up to weld it up anyway. And yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, obviously I've given it a blast with brake cleaner and stuff, but to come up this clean shows it's pretty mint. Because all, you know, literally I'm not, you know, really wiped anything, because you can't get to anything, but just a blast of brake cleaner, and it's come up to this yellow paint. Must be what they paint it as standard, I'm guessing, because it's like painted with some yellow paint of some sort for some odd reason. But yeah, it's an open diff, so obviously I'm going to weld it up. The one thing that's different on this, well, there's a few things different, but this is an earlier one than the one that's currently on the car. So, and the car, this is also a non-ABS one. So what that means is the Speedo Sensor, and this is the reluctor ring, what Speedo Sensor picks up on to tell the speed, is wrong for my Speedo. Mine's got like 48 teeth or whatever. This has got like 12 or some shit. So with this fitted, if I remember right, my Speedo will read 4 times too slow, if you know what I'm saying, which is a bit useless, but to be honest, I don't really care. So yeah, because the trouble is, this reluctor ring thing is spot welded to the diff, and even if it's bolted, it goes all the way around the diff, so you'd have to remove this whole lot just to fucking change it. So nah, you know, I think I'm just gonna live with it as it is. I'm gonna end up probably either changing the sensor or using the back plate off the other diff, because, well, actually it might not matter. I'll just leave it unplugged, because it's not going to work right anyway. Because if I use the other sensor, because I think the plug's different, the Speedo would work, but 4 times too slow. But if it's 4 times too slow, it's fucking useless anyway. So I might as well just leave it unplugged. I mean, especially since that is mint. So, yeah, whatever. I don't really care. I don't need a normal Speedo. I can use, you know, sat-nav type Speedo if I need to. Satellite, you know, GPS one. So, yeah, but this being a 3.91, the Speedo would read, even if it had the right ring on it, it wouldn't read correctly anyway. So it don't really matter too much. So whatever. So yeah, pretty mint diff. I think it's meant to have only done 60,000 miles and it was fitted to a hearse. So yeah, it's not had a very hard life, I would say. So it should live. I mean, the other ones never failed on me. I think these things fail more due to people having bad wheel hop, axle tramp, whatever you want to call it, and badly welded diffs. I don't think this in itself is particularly weak, no matter what people try and say. So yeah, so got to weld that, got to get a head on that, got to put that cam in the head, blah blah blah. But for now, I think I've had enough for tonight. It's getting late. It's not dark, but it must be about 9 o'clock. So I think I'm done. So yeah, I know there's no action in this video, but I hope you liked it anyway. And I'll see you next time.